Welcome to our feature video on card reports. Card reports have many use cases. In this video, we will see how a card report can act as a Kanban board for managing actions for project delivery. We will look at using card reports in our project and linked action apps to increase visibility and governance of the process. The image here is a Kanban board, which is a visual project management tool that helps teams manage work schedules, limit work in progress, and maximize efficiency across projects. It does this by allowing users to see the status of deliverables at a glance. By utilizing drag and drop, actions can quickly be updated to the correct group. There are two steps to creating this card report. The first is to define templates which determine the fields that will display in the card tiles. When creating these, be aware that we can use multiple card templates for the tiles that can be cycled through in the UI. Initially, the card report tile can display an overview of the action. Then if the user clicks to cycle through templates, it can reveal the action detail. If they click again, it can cycle onto the action requirements. And finally, clicking again will cycle back through to the initial overview template. So, let's see how we create a card template. The first step is to add a template the same way we would for a form, but this time selecting card as the template type. This will then get us to the template design where we can drag and drop the relevant fields to appear on the card. We now have the basic structure, but we also want to make the most efficient use of spacing the fields so that we can keep the tiles relatively small. To do this, we can define the space that each row or column should take. We know that the priority and status in the second column will require little room, but that the length of the value in the action owner could vary. So we can define the second column as tiny and then have the first column take the remaining available space. Equally, the second and third rows are a fixed height, so we can set these to small and then allow the first row with the action, which could be across 2 or 3 lines, to take the remainder of the vertical height. This is done in the template designer as shown here. Now we have the card template, we can use this when we configure the card report. The second step is to create the card report. For a full step-by-step guide on creating the card report, view the support docs. Here, we'll run through some key properties to consider when creating the card report. The card report is grouped by stage so that we can see the item's progress and then drag them to the appropriate stage. The card tiles are then ordered by due date so that actions due first appear at the top, giving a guide on the order they should be completed. This is set in the report config here. In our example, the groups run vertically, but this can be horizontal if preferred. Additionally, we can include an extra group in the report for unclassified items and hide groups if there are no records that match a group when using a selection field to define the groupings. The content of the tiles is then defined by selecting the card templates in the order that the information should display as we flip the tiles. This is defined in the report configuration by adding the tiles in the appropriate order. We also need to set the overall pixel size of a tile that these templates will fit into. We have then used a name styles to add a top border color and another name style to have the text in the group headers larger and in bold. Add the appropriate style to the report, a group header, or card, as needed. We can also make use of the report actions to display a pop-up template to edit information. This is a great addition to allow for the update of actions on the fly while reviewing the action board. Given what we have learnt about card reports in this video, we can now identify further use cases. We could use a card report for action prioritization. By seeing all of the project actions grouped by their priority, it is then easier to compare the relative priority of item. We can click and hold onto an action, then drag it across to a revised priority level. When we let go, it has updated the value in the priority field. Another use case would be to set the project timeline. By grouping actions into weeks, we can see if the workload is manageable or if we need to push items into future weeks. Doing this allows for effective delivery targets to be set and more reliable expectations on when the project will achieve particular milestones. Another use case is action allocation within the project team. By seeing actions grouped by their owner, we can quickly identify if a person is overloaded or if they have free capacity for a more collaborative approach to optimizing project delivery. Here we can see that Martin Jacks has many actions that he needs to complete, whereas Andy Pepper appears to have capacity to take on more. By simply dragging and dropping actions, they can be reallocated, making this a very useful tool in weekly project scrum meetings. It is also a good example of where viewing this report at root action level allows you to manage workloads when people have actions across multiple projects. Card reports act as an excellent feature for effective project management. Beyond this, anytime you can think of a part in your app process where records are reclassified by a specific field during a review, you could be finding a use case for a card report that is grouped by that field. Thank you for taking the time to watch this feature showcase. If you have any questions or would like further guidance on applying the features you have just seen within your apps, please reach out to us at support@softools.net.